Welcome back. Consider this. You're finally retired, you're ready to enjoy life, and then the market drops 20% in your very first year. Now you're stuck asking yourself, do I keep selling investments at a loss just to cover my living expenses? Or do I cut back on spending right when I was supposed to be enjoying my freedom? This is the exact situation thousands of retirees face when they don't have a clear plan for turning savings into income. And it's not just about the market downturns. It's having a strategy that you can be confident in, because the truth is, retirement isn't just about how much you saved, it's about how you structure those savings so you can rely on them no matter what the markets are doing. That's where the bucket strategy comes in, a simple framework that can help organize your money, protect your lifestyle, and keep you from making costly mistakes when the markets get bumpy. Hi, I'm Hank Persia, President and owner of Starboard Wealth Advisors. For years, I've helped high net worth retirees and pre-retirees turn their portfolios into structured income plans that balance growth, stability, and tax efficiency. And one strategy I often use to help simplify this process is called the bucket strategy. In today's video, I'll walk you through what the bucket strategy is, why it helps navigate market swings, and how you can think about applying it to your own retirement plan. If you find this video helpful, make sure to watch our other videos for more practical retirement planning strategies. And if you'd like to see how this could be customized for your situation, use the link in the description below to book a call with me. Let's get into it. Part 1. What is the bucket strategy? When most people retire, they think of their portfolio as one big pot of money. The problem with that approach is that it doesn't account for timing. You don't need all of your retirement savings on day one. You need it spread out over decades. The bucket strategy takes that big pot and divides it into separate buckets based upon when you'll actually need the money. Think of it like organizing your retirement savings into 3 layers. Bucket 1 is your short-term income, or money you'll spend in the next 1 to 3 years. Bucket 2 is your medium-term income, or money you'll tap in about 4 to 10 years. And bucket 3 is your long-term growth, or money you won't need for 10 plus years. Each bucket is invested differently. The short-term bucket is designed for liquidity, the medium-term bucket is designed for balance, and the long-term bucket is designed for potential growth. By structuring your retirement savings this way, you're essentially matching your investments to your time horizon. That means you can cover near-term expenses without worrying about what the market does this week, this month, or even this year. And here's the key. The buckets work together. When bucket 1 runs low, you refill it from bucket 2. And over time, the growth in bucket 3 helps replenish bucket 2. It's a cycle that gives you short-term stability and long-term growth all at once. The result? You're not forced to sell long-term investments in a down market just to cover everyday living expenses, which is exactly the situation that causes so much stress for retirees who don't have a structure in place. Part 2. The 3 buckets. The power of the bucket strategy lies in its simplicity. By dividing your retirement assets into 3 categories, you give each dollar a specific job based on when you'll actually need it. Let's break down the buckets. Bucket 1 is short-term money for the next 1 to 3 years. This is your retirement paycheck. It covers your immediate living expenses for the next few years. These funds are typically invested for liquidity in cash, high-yield savings accounts, money market funds, bank certificates of deposit, or short-term bonds. The priority here is accessibility without exposing yourself to risk, and not growth. Markets can be unpredictable, so this bucket helps to potentially avoid that you're not forced to sell stocks when they're down, when their prices are low, which can then quickly erode your principal since you have to sell more shares to generate the cash you need. This bucket can then give you confidence knowing that your near-term income needs are safe and available when needed. For example, if you plan to spend $80,000 per year, you might keep around $200,000 to $250,000 in this bucket, covering about 3 years of expenses. Even if the market is down for 2 straight years, you have funds set aside to cover your living expenses. Bucket 2 is medium term, covering years 4 to 10. This is your refill bucket. It's designed to replenish bucket 1 when it runs low. Typically, these funds would be invested in a balanced mix of bonds, dividend-paying stocks, or conservative funds. The goal here is moderate growth with controlled risk. This bucket then bridges the gap. It grows faster than the cash, but less volatility than stocks, so it can steadily supply your short-term income needs. For example, a retiree might allocate $500,000 to $700,000 in a diversified portfolio of bonds and equities that can be tapped over time to refill bucket 1 when the markets rebound. Bucket 3 is long-term, not needed for 10 plus years. This is your growth engine. It's designed to outpace inflation and provide income for decades into retirement. Typically, these funds are invested primarily in stocks, equities, growth funds, or other long-term investments depending upon your risk tolerance. Since you may not touch this money for years, it has time to recover from short-term market swings. Healthcare costs, inflation, and longer lifespans mean you can't just sit in cash, so this bucket plans for meaningful growth potential for the later stages of retirement. For example, a couple with $2 million might allocate $1 million or more to this bucket, knowing it's money they won't need to access right away. Here's how the system works together. Bucket 1 pays for today's expenses, Bucket 2 is invested to refill Bucket 1 every few years, and Bucket 3 grows in the background, eventually replenishing Bucket 2. It's like a conveyor belt. Long-term investments steadily move forward to cover short-term spending needs, but always on your timeline, not the market's. Part 3, why the bucket strategy helps. The hardest part about retirement isn't saving the money, it's figuring out how to spend it without running out. And the biggest danger is something called sequence of returns risk. That's when the market takes a downturn early in retirement and you're forced to sell investments at a loss just to cover your expenses. The bucket strategy helps reduce that risk by separating your money into time horizons. Here's why that matters. Bucket 1 gives you stability. Your short-term income needs are readily available, so you don't have to sell stocks when the markets are down. Bucket 2 provides balance. It grows enough to refill your short-term bucket, but without the same volatility as equities, and Bucket 3 keeps you ahead of inflation. Over time, your long-term investments have the potential to grow and replenish the other buckets. It's a simple framework that addresses two competing retirement challenges. You need steady, predictable income, and you need long-term growth to keep up with inflation. Let's look at an example of a retiree without buckets, retiree A, versus a retiree with buckets, retiree B. Let's say each has $2 million in savings, and in year 1 of retirement, the market drops 20%. Retiree A has no buckets and is drawing income directly from their investment portfolio. Since the market dropped 20%, to cover the needed $100,000 of expenses, they're forced to sell assets at a 20% discount. Their portfolio shrinks to about $1.5 million after just 1 year. Even when the markets recover, they're working with less money since some of their stocks had to be sold and cannot participate in the recovery. Retiree B has buckets. They had 3 years of income set aside in Bucket 1. When the market drops, they simply withdraw from that liquid bucket, and they don't have to touch their growth investments in Bucket 3 until the market recovers. Their long-term portfolio is left intact, giving it time to rebound so their stocks can participate in the market recovery. Both retirees experienced the same market downturn, but the one using the bucket strategy had a backup plan and avoided locking in losses, which gave their portfolio breathing room to recover. In short, the bucket strategy isn't about predicting the market, it's about building flexibility into your plan. That way, no matter what the markets are doing, your lifestyle isn't dictated by short-term swings. Part 4, case study. Let's look at how this might work for a retiree with $2 million in savings. Bucket 1 could have $200,000 in cash and short-term bonds, covering about 3 years of needed income. Bucket 2 could have $600,000 in a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds for medium-term needs, and Bucket 3 could consist of $1.2 million in equities for long-term growth. Each year, the retiree draws income from Bucket 1. Every few years, if the stock market is up, money from Bucket 2 replenishes the money taken from Bucket 1. And over time, the growth in Bucket 3 replenishes Bucket 2. This creates a self-sustaining cycle, thereby reducing the need to sell long-term assets at the wrong time. Part 5, important considerations. Like any strategy, the bucket approach isn't one size fits all. Here are a few things to keep in mind. First, withdrawal rates matter. The strategy doesn't change how much you can sustainably withdraw. It simply structures withdrawals more efficiently. Second, tax planning is crucial. Deciding which accounts fund each bucket, taxable, IRA, or Roth, can make a big difference in your after-tax income. Third, rebalancing is key. Buckets need to be replenished over time, and that requires discipline. And fourth, your comfort level matters. Some people prefer larger short-term buckets for confidence, while others want more in growth assets. That's why it's important to tailor the strategy to your personal goals, lifestyle, and risk tolerance. Little B. The bucket strategy is one of the simplest ways to bring structure and clarity to your retirement income plan. By separating your money based on time horizon, you can create reliable income in the short term while keeping your portfolio positioned for long-term growth. But the exact way you set it up, how much to put in each bucket, which accounts to draw from, and how to manage taxes depends upon your situation. If you'd like to see how this might help apply in your retirement situation, let's talk. Click the link in the description to book a free consultation, and I'll walk you through how the bucket strategy could be customized for you without the B interference. Remember, at Starboard Wealth Advisors, your financial destination is why we're here. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, make sure to watch our other videos for more clear, no fluff retirement guidance, or contact us for a simple phone or Zoom call. We're looking forward to seeing you on our next video.